I thought XRP was done for, stuck under $3 forever, destined to disappoint. Then I stumbled on a series of clues that made my jaw hit the floor. Something big is brewing for XRP, and it feels like nobody else has connected the dots just yet. Now, I'm just an XRP investor like many of you guys, and I need to share this story with you. Just imagine, right, scrolling through late night crypto news and finding out that public companies have quietly stashed away $11.5 billion worth of XRP in their corporate treasuries. Yeah, and yes, that was billion with a B. So when I read that, I had to do a bit of a double take. Right, this is companies like SBI Holdings and others that are stockpiling XRP as if it's digital gold. This isn't just some random crypto rumor either, it's actually happening, and it kind of blew my mind. Because if institutions are that confident, or confident enough to hold XRP by the billions, then what do they know that we don't? Naturally, I kept on digging, and the deeper that I went, the clearer that it actually became that XRP's story is shifting from speculation to real-world utility. Now, take Ripple's global partnerships, for example. I found out that Ripple has been striking deals all over the place, like partnering with Bahrain's fintech 𝗕𝗚 to pilot stablecoins in the Middle East, and teaming up with a company called 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗔𝗡𝗧𝗏 for global payments, right? Even heard of SBI Remit in Japan, right? Well, they're using XRP to send money instantly to countries like the Philippines and Vietnam. And it's a pretty huge deal, right? It means that XRP is actually solving problems that are out there, not just making noise on crypto Twitter. While everyone else, of course, was glued to the meme coin charts and day trading, XRP was quietly building an international payments network behind the scenes. So by this point, I was kind of hooked on uncovering more, right? One question that kept popping up in my head was, if XRP has all of these things going for it, then why isn't the price skyrocketing already? Now, part of the answer, I realized, is that actually change takes time, especially when you're trying to overthrow something as entrenched as the traditional banking system. Now, XRP's technology, the XRP Ledger, is basically a next-generation payments highway. It settles transactions in 3 to 5 seconds flat. For context, of course, that's like sending an email versus sending a postcard, right? It is blazingly fast, it is incredibly cheap, and it's built to handle everything from cross-border payments to tokenized assets. In other words, it's gunning directly at the kind of dominance of SWIFT and the old guard. And it's not just the hype, it's actually working technology. Yet the world's financial system doesn't change overnight. Banks and institutions, they move at the speed of trust, which can feel glacial. But knowing that XRP can already do what SWIFT does, only faster and cheaper, it kind of gave me this feeling that we are potentially coming up to that tipping point. Now, to address that elephant that is in the room, the regulation. Because let's be real, right? None of this stuff really matters if regulators are standing in the way. Now, XRP has been through a bit of a roller coaster on that front. Right? We all remember the SEC lawsuit drama, right? The good news, right? The regulatory clouds have finally lifted, right? Parting the way. The world, is different. And, 2025 is where we are right now. And we have much clearer guidelines for crypto and for XRP in the United States. In fact, to many people's surprises, the current US administration is actually very crypto friendly. Right? And who would have thought that? It turns out that having a president who's actually open to crypto is creating an environment where Ripple and XRP can actually thrive. And get this, right? Ripple has even applied for a US banking license. And yes, you heard that right. Ripple might become a bank. Now, the public comment period for their bank charter application actually closed a little while ago. And now everyone is just waiting to see if the OCC gives a thumbs up. And if that happens, well, it could actually be a bit of a game changer. Right? A banking license, it could actually legitimize XRP in a way that we've never really seen before. Basically telling big institutions, hey, This is the real deal. Now, I mean, imagine major banks and corporations feeling comfortable enough to hold XRP as a reserve asset, because that's exactly what a license like that could actually lead to. Now, at my point in my research here, my excitement levels were, of course, through the roof. But I'm also a rather cautious guy, so let me kind of slip in the necessary disclaimer before we go any further. You know the drill by this point. Now, this might just shock you, but I'm not a financial advisor, and nothing in this video is financial advice. Cryptocurrencies are highly volatile, and you could lose all of the money that you invest. You should always do your own research and consult a qualified professional. After all, your investments are entirely your responsibility, and you should know that nothing is ever guaranteed when it comes to investing. Neither I, this channel, nor YouTube are liable for any losses, and this video is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Alright, well, thanks for sitting through that part. We had to get it done. Now, let's get back to the juicy stuff. Right, we've talked about adoption, we've talked about the technology and the regulation, but there's another piece to this puzzle that actually could hit very soon. XRP ETFs. Now, if you've been around crypto, you know that an ETF, an exchange-traded fund, can be a big freaking deal for a cryptocurrency. It basically opens up the floodgates for institutional money by making it much easier for traditional investors to actually buy in. And well, guess what? The United States SEC is set to rule on multiple spot XRP ETF applications. Now, originally this was supposed to be between October 18th and October 25th. You know, literally just days away. However, with the US shutdown, things have changed just a bit. So, you know, I guess there's a little bit of timing here that we have to think about, right? In the span of a few weeks, you know, we could actually get a wave of XRP ETF approvals. Now, full disclosure, there was this whole government shutdown situation that has put a temporary pause on all of those discussions. So thanks, Washington, for all of that. But that just means that there's a little bit more of a backlog, right? Once the government is back open, those ETF decisions are coming due to at least, it should be more like a rapid fire session. Now, analysts are even describing this October as a potential perfect storm for XRP, right? Since the ETF verdicts and Ripple's bank charter decision could land almost simultaneously. In other words, we might see a 1-2 punch of good news. Now, one crazy thing that I have learned is that an XRP-focused fund by 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗧 basically found a loophole and launched an XRP investment product without direct SEC approval. Now, they did it under a 1940s Act regulation, sidestepping the usual hurdles. Now, that tells me that the interest in XRP is so high. People are finding creative ways to get things moving even before the SEC gives a thermal nod, or at least a formal nod. Now, I would say that it's more of a hybrid, it's not a real spot ETF. Now, amidst all of these big developments, let me kind of share a bit of a side quest that ties into the bigger crypto picture. Now, if you've been following my channel, you know that I'm always looking for ways to grow my crypto stack on the side. And enter Unity nodes. I've mentioned Unity many times already in past videos. And this project that really kind of caught my attention, at least in the quest for passive income. So think of it like turning spare devices into little crypto earners just for you guys. Now, it's not the star of today's show, okay? This is just a quick kind of shout out. And it's worth just a quick update because I am taking this as a part of my personal crypto journey. And it's something that I have purchased and bought into. So I did buy a Unity node NFT a little while back. It came with 200 licenses, meaning that I can connect up to 200 smartphones or devices if I wanted to. Now, I'm not going crazy with this, right? At least not right off the bat. When that Unity app goes live, which is not live yet, I plan to kind of start with a small test, about 10 phones that you see here on a desk, to see how it works in real life. And if successful, then maybe I'll scale it up there too. Now, the cool part is this, that I can choose to get paid in various different cryptocurrencies as part of the course, right? And I'm going to go with things like Bitcoin, Ethereum, ADA, and of course, my beloved XRP. Now, to me, it's a pretty neat way to passively stack more crypto over time without much effort. Kind of like staking, but with a different twist. Now, of course, you have to do your own research with this kind of stuff. I will put a link in the description down below to Unity's light paper and their rewards calculator so that you can check it out and see if those numbers work for you. Now, again, Unity isn't a new topic on this channel. I see the comments of lots of people who hate me talking about it. But at the end of the day, this channel is my personal journey, and it is something that I am doing. So if you don't like it, you've got plenty of other XRP channels out there that can show you whatever bullshit they want to. I'm telling you my story as it is. Like it or don't like it, it is what it is, right? Do what you want. Anyway, side quest to all of that is that you should do your own research before making any conclusions. They've got a rewards calculator on their website. They've got a light paper. Do your own reading. I read it. I'm involved in it. And I think it's a great way to be earning more crypto on the side. But you've got to do your own research. Now, let's talk about price and potential rocket launches, right? Because I did take a peek at XRP's price chart, and even as a non-technical guy, I mean, I don't really do technical analysis on this channel per se, but I do a lot of technical analysis down in the Discord server. And I get pretty excited when I look at the charts because there are patterns that are setting up. Now, analysts call things like descending triangles, and they call about apexes and things like that. But when I take a look at the charts, I see Elliott waves, I see support resistances, and I see a lot of confirmation for a potential reversal pattern. Now, we could be looking at a rally of around 37% or maybe even more, aiming for new all-time highs when it comes to XRP's price action. That's basically knocking on the door of, say, $3.90 is knocking on the door of a new all-time high, and $4 would confirm it. So to put things into perspective here, right, XRP's previous peak was around $3.66 earlier this year, around $3.86 back in 2018. So $4 would be uncharted territory. And the support on the downside, at least at the moment, is coming in at around that previous peaks that we had, around $1.96, which, has been holding very strongly, even with the dips to the downside that we had over the weekend. So XRP is kind of built a bit like a launchpad, if you will, and from here it could be looking for a next big breakout. Now, the bulls have a fighting chance, shall we say. Now, I always like to take all kind of predictions with a grain of salt. Charts can tease us one thing and do something totally different. But seeing those momentum indicators all leveling out, showing that selling pressure may actually now be completely easing off, it actually gives me a bit more confidence that the last flush out that we had, the cascading liquidations, is the big reset before the next big rally. And this time might just be that. Now, you might all be thinking, this sounds pretty amazing, so why hasn't XRP already blown up? Well, you got to trust me here. I asked myself the very same question. The reality is this, right? Markets sometimes need a narrative to latch onto, a spark. And we have several sparks lining up. Big names, adoption, right? Global use cases, regulatory green lights, possible the first ever XRP spot ETF, a real one, not these hybrid Frankenstein ones. And even technical signals are starting to flash bullish signs. It's all like, I guess, all of these pieces of a puzzle are finally coming together. And I'll be honest with you, right? A few months ago, I was a little bit more skeptical. I would see XRP climb to maybe like $3.90, $3, and then fall back down. And I would just shake my head. But now, after seeing what I've seen, I actually feel a little bit like we're on the cusp of something much bigger. It's a gut feeling backed by actual evidence. That's a rare combination in crypto. Now, here's a quick side note, right? If you're as deep into all of this stuff as I am, then you should know and should join our free educational Discord server. There is a link in the description, right? Now, our community has been buzzing about all of these XRP developments non-stop, and it's the best place to learn, share, and not feel crazy alone on this crypto roller coaster. Now, it is a shameless but necessary plug, right? And here's another one for you, because I know that some of you guys are looking for solid crypto exchanges, and of course you would be. And I want to mention that I do have several affiliate links for exchanges that I personally do use. Things like Blowfin, BitGet, LBank, for example. Now, there's a link in the description to our website, and that website holds all of our affiliate links, right? And if you do use those links, sign up and trade through them, then it does support the channel here at no extra cost to yourself. And let's keep doing what we do, right? It just lets us keep this kind of content coming. So if you're considering checking out any new exchanges, give that link in the description a look. And I do thank you seriously if you do sign up and trade through them. All right, let's get back to the story here. Let's zoom out for just a second. Right, in the grand scheme of things, XRP has been an underdog for many years, caught in legal battles and often overshadowed by Bitcoin and Ethereum in the headlines. But here we are, potentially on the verge of Ripple becoming a licensed bank, XRP possibly getting an ETF, huge companies openly holding and using XRP, and real people like us actually benefiting from XRP in day-to-day solutions. Now we have at least a few years ago, this would have maybe seemed a bit like fan fiction, right? But now it's actually reality, or very close to it. It's as if that doesn't really make you at least a little bit more optimistic, I really don't know what will. Now, I'm not saying that we should start popping the champagne just yet, right? Because in crypto, nothing, and I mean nothing, is guaranteed, right? We could get some bad news. Regulators could delay things further, or the market just could throw another tantrum, the one that we just saw on Friday into Saturday, for example. Right? You should always keep that stuff in mind. But the difference now is that XRP's fate isn't hanging on hype or a court case alone. It's actually being built on the fundamentals and the real adoption. And that, my friends, is a story that ages rather well. So here is my takeaway. Right, I've never been more excited, and yes, a tad anxious, to be an XRP investor. It feels like we're standing on the edge of a new chapter. Over the next few weeks and months, we're probably going to find out if XRP finally gets to shed its underdog status and claim a spot at the big kids' table. Now, I'm buckled up for that ride, and I hope that you are all too, because it's shaping up to be one heck of a journey. Now, if you have found this useful, informative, entertaining, then you can do me a favor by smashing the like button and hitting the subscribe button, and I will catch you all in the next one.